Hello and welcome back to the Cozy Arts. I am Cherish and I'm so happy to see you. May is Multiple Chemical Sensitivity Awareness Month. As I have multiple chemical sensitivity, I spend each May putting out MCS related content. The rest of this month will be about things that have made my life better. But unfortunately, we are starting with a rant. We will now go to past Cherish, but I warn you, it's gonna be emotional. I'm having a tough time today. It's been one of those anxious thoughts that keeps me awake at night for a long time. Like, what if I got summoned for jury duty? I feel like I'm gonna get summoned for jury duty, and I've been homebound for about 10 years. So like, what would I even do if I got summoned for jury duty? And then last month I got my summons. I've been summoned for jury duty. This is just a rant. It's gonna be a rant about so many things, and I'm sorry, but I just kind of want to get it out right now. And I'm sorry that I'm sitting on the floor, but my tripod is broken, and my new tripod isn't coming until maybe next week. So, floor time. But yeah, so I got summoned for jury duty, and part of like the questionnaire that you fill out once you're summoned, I explained that, like, if you want to accommodate me, it means like no one can have coffee, no one can, like, all the things that they would have to do, and how like it's pretty much impossible. So I filled out the summons and explained that I could really only do it virtually, and I'd be pretty much impossible to accommodate for to have me in person doing it, because like I don't go into places without my respirator, and my respirator doesn't work it doesn't work past like an hour because the moisture builds up and breaks the seal, and even then it's not 100%, and I just can't. What if I got like, not subpoenaed, what's the word where they whisk you away, and you have to like stay in a hotel for months on end? I can't be sequestered. Like, I can't. I mean, it would be difficult if I weren't homebound, because I have a family, but I can't. I can only breathe in my house. And even then, sometimes not. But yeah, so when I was filling that out, like, well, I need to find my original doctor's note that says that I have multiple chemical sensitivities, so that they know that I'm not just making this up. So I dug that doctor's note out, which I thought I had it virtually, but like, luckily I still had the paper somewhere, so I was able to scan that in. So I uploaded that, and then I got a call being like, why do you have a doctor's note from 2013? Because well, I figured if it's really old, then you would know that I'm not making this up. But what they really needed was they needed a current doctor's note that had like my name and my juror number and like an explicit phrase that they needed to use, and explanation of my disability and how it affects me and prevents me from doing jury duty. And I would give that to you now in case you're in the same situation, but my guess is that it's going to vary from court to court. So if you are homebound like me, if you have multiple chemical sensitivity or something similar, and you are summoned, I would just call them right away and find out what they need. The first person that I talked to was really nice. So I made an appointment with a doctor, but because going to the doctor makes me sick, I made a telehealth appointment, like, through our insurance. Like, this is what our insurance told us to do. And I had the option between like a quick visit, and which would be cheaper, and the more expensive visit, which is like for ongoing issues. And so I went for that one because I thought like they probably aren't going to be able to write it for me on a quick one. So like I paid for the more expensive visit, just to know that hopefully they would be able to do it. And I met with my doctor, and he was nice. He didn't seem super technically proficient, but he was nice. He did, like, you know, ask me if I'm, you know, in therapy and tell me that I seemed happy, which is such felt like when your family members say you look healthy and you're like, are you saying that you don't think there's anything wrong with me? Because let me give you a list. But he was nice enough, and I wasn't able to check the message that he wrote while we were in our meeting because we were in a meeting and it was really short. Like, you would think for how much money they cost that you would have a little more time with your doctor to actually talk about things, but he was nice. He was nice enough. He seemed understanding and sympathetic. But then once the meeting was over, I opened up the note and my heart sank because, like, it was started off like most of the page is a form that you would get for being sick. And like, please excuse me from work for just the day of the appointment. So not even like when my jury duty is scheduled to be, like, at the end of this month. It was the day of the appointment. And then on the bottom, he had just, please excuse, like, he had the first chunk of information that I needed, like my name and my jury number and please excuse me from jury duty. But he didn't have the details that I needed of why I can't do jury duty and how I can't be accommodated. So I submitted that, and I also submitted like a list of my own triggers and symptoms and stuff to hopefully balance that out. But and I hadn't heard anything from them then after that, and I was really worried that it wouldn't be enough because it wasn't enough. It wasn't what I asked of him to do. So today I finally got the nerve up to people because I hadn't heard anything from the court yet. So I called and I asked if they thought that the doctor's note would be enough, and they said that no, because it didn't say that it can't be accommodated. So like, okay, well, the doctor originally gave me the number to call in case the note wasn't enough, and he said that he would fix it. So I called and talked to someone, and I was really upset because it's like, I need to give you so much information, and it's unfair to do it on the phone, but I also really need you to listen to me because it will physically not be okay if I have to go into jury duty. Like, I would love to be able to do it. If they wanted to make it something that I could do virtually, that'd be great. It's not that I'm opposed to jury duty. I think it's a good thing that people should do. And I think, you know, it's just a part of being a citizen. Like, you vote, you do jury duty if you're called in for jury duty, you know, it's just that I physically cannot. I would be so sick, and like I wouldn't even be able to mentally do it because it would make me so foggy headed, and it would be unsafe, and it would be unproductive. And then I would go back to being a zombie. When I was last working, I was such a zombie. Like, I couldn't function. I couldn't function at work, and then I went home and I couldn't function, and all I did was just lay in bed. And I can't go back to that, and I can't keep getting sicker and sicker because the more things I'm exposed to, the more things trigger me. Like, it's a snowball thing. Like, the last time I tried to push my boundaries a little, and my friend came to visit, and it was raining outside, so we had to stay inside, and she was too smelly, and I should have sent her away, but I was so lonely. So I just talked to her from like different rooms. But the next day my body rejected the Vaseline, which was like, I don't know how I was able to use Vaseline for so long. I just was, but it was the only lotion that I could use, because the lotion made me want to rip my skin off. Like even the really like dermatologist recommended, like the least scented, the most best lotions, like we needed to rip my skin off. But yeah, then the next day after she was at my house, like I used it in the morning and I was teaching, and suddenly in the middle of a class, it went from being fine to like toxic to me. Like it just smelled like a gas station, and I can't lose another product because I have so few products that I can use. I can't have yet another trigger, so isolation is the only thing that works, and for me it's worked. Like I am most of the time very healthy, and that's one of the reasons why I changed my name. I used to be Homeboundless and now I'm the Cozy Arts, partly because all of my videos are, aside from, you know, the rare MCS focus version, aside from the rare MCS focus videos, most of my videos are just, you know, making stuff, gardening, art, crochet. But the other thing is that I like the name Homeboundless because I like to feel like I'm searching for ways to thrive while being homebound. Like I feel like staying at home, it makes me so much healthier than going out into the world. Like, and it makes me calmer. Like my body and my mind are not in constant fight or flight, and I can be healthy, I can exercise, I can get muscles, I can handle small triggers when I am isolated, in isolation. But also like I felt like people might think that I'm not homebound enough, either because I'm healthy in my isolation, or because, you know, there are things that I do leave the house for, like taking my child to the bus stop, or every weekend we try to go for family walks, so I like wear the respirator in the car and then we walk around a park. And yeah, like am I not homebound anymore just because I can do very, very small things? So I changed my name, but God, where was I? I'm so sorry. Anyway, so yeah, I called to try to get the other half of the information that I needed on that note. But yeah, the person that I talked to was like, oh, have you talked to behavioral services so that they can document this? I'm like, do you mean therapy? Like, this is not a mental thing, this is a physical thing. And I'm not saying I don't need therapy. Like, I need therapy, I just don't need therapy for this. So when people immediately go to, like, have you had therapy? Like, they might just be like, wow, that's really hard mentally, are you okay? But it feels like they're saying, wow, I did a cursory Google of your condition and it seems like it's all in your head. I'm just like, it's not. Like, just dig deeper. That's discredited. It's not okay. But yeah, so, you know, after being really frustrated and having a way too long conversation with this poor woman who was just trying to help, they updated it. I got an updated note, but it still had the work stuff, excusing just for that one day. But then it only had, like, the first note had half of the information that I needed, and the second note had the other half that I needed, but it didn't have both. So I had to call back to be like, can you do both? Like, and can it just not have it, can it not be this form letter? Like, it just is confusing, and I'm afraid that they're gonna dismiss it. And she's like, well, we can't really do that here. Like, everyone's like, you need to go to your healthcare provider. Like, this is what I'm trying to do. I don't have a healthcare provider. Like, my last doctor retired, and I don't go to the doctor because it makes me sick, and so this telehealth option is available, and it costs a lot, and I'm using it, so why is it not able to do things that other doctors can do? Why is this a second-class service? Like, why is this not the same? Like, I get that there are things that you need to be in person for, like, you know, blood labs and stuff. I get that, but this type of visit that I need shouldn't be restricted. That it shouldn't be so impossible to access services when you have something like MCS. We made it through a pandemic and people figured out how to do so many things virtually. Why can't we do that anymore? Like, why do I have to go in person to get a service that can be virtual? And, you know, adding on to that, why aren't hospitals more friendly to the chemical sensitive community? Like, you know what I would have loved more than, like, trying to find a way to get out of jury duty because it would make me sick? I would love it more if I could just do jury duty and it wouldn't make me sick. I think it is a violation of my rights as a citizen to not be able to access the justice system because it would make me sick, to not be able to access the hospital system because it would make me sick. There's so many places that I can't go to that, like, I should be able to go to. Like, I should be able to access public transportation without it making me sick. And now my battery's dead, and this is just a big rant, but we need to do better. We need to do better to accommodate people who are homebound. We need to do better to make a virtual world that is as good as it can be for people who cannot access in-person services. That was my TED Talk. Update time. We last spoke on Friday and it is now Tuesday. I don't remember where we left off because it was just so many setbacks that day. But I think that I last talked to you after I called them asking for the second set of adjustments to the letter because the first batch wasn't right, the second batch wasn't right, and then they let me know. Then they called me back and they told me that they couldn't adjust it the third time. And they implied that I should just be grateful that they tried because it was outside of their scope. So it was not something that they were supposed to do in the first place. And that I should see my general physician for this. And it's like, I don't have one. And I thought that's what I was trying to do when I booked this appointment. That's why I booked the more expensive one. That was supposed to be like a regular like GP visit where you visit with your regular doctor and you discuss a chronic illness. Like that was what I thought. That was what I thought that I was signing up for, as close as I was able to do in the virtual format that the insurance company pushed me to. Like this was their website that pushed me to this. And it turns out they were unable to do it, which would have been disappointing if they had told me that right away. But since I didn't know that until now, a month later, it's truly upsetting because I need to have everything in place 10 days before my jury duty, and like the 10-day mark is later this week. It's time. It's getting close. But the good news is that after a lot of pulling my hair out trying to find a physician on the insurance website system, that like it would say that all these people are available and take your insurance and are accepting new patients, and then you track them down, which was difficult. Like there was no good way to like get to their listing on the insurance company to the actual person, but you track them down and it's not clear if it takes your insurance and they are not accepting new patients. So it was really frustrating. But yeah, I did finally confirm with my insurance company that the people in like a specific system should take my insurance. It should be fine. And I was able to book a regular clinic visit virtually, which I didn't really know was a thing. I would have done that in the first place had I known that the thing that they pushed me into was as bad and limited as it is. It's just, it should be better. It should be better. But anyway, I had an appointment this morning. I was not able to meet with a doctor because there is too much of a wait to see anyone because I'm out of time. So I had an appointment with a physician. I had an appointment with a physician's assistant, and the person who did the appointment said that like it should carry the same amount of weight. But I honestly, it's not like, oh, that's not a real job. It's like, oh, I can't afford to give them any reason to deny my claim, like it has to be as weighty as I can make it. So I really wanted it to be like an MD, just to have that, because it's really important to some people. But I met with a physician assistant because they had availability. They were nice, and the letter that they wrote me was good. It was everything I needed, and even everything that I didn't necessarily ask for, but I wanted. She did good, and she was so much faster. But yeah, I don't want to just rag on the guy that I met with before. Some people they didn't grow up with technology in the same way. But yeah, oh, okay, you are a fast typer. Love it. We need this. Thank you. So the good news is I got that letter. Got the letter. It's a good letter. It should have everything that they wanted, everything that the court has asked for. So fingers crossed that I find out soon that's acceptable. Because honestly, if they're gonna wait until the 10 days before to decide whether or not everything, I don't know. I don't know. I can't do it. So hopefully they realize that I can't do it. If they could do it virtually, I could do it. I feel like that would probably be a violation of other people's rights to have me be virtual, because I could just be sitting there court open, internet open, on my phone. I don't see a way that they could make it that secure enough to be okay with it. And and that's fine. It's just how am I gonna how I'm gonna have access to my rights if I can't? Anyway, I'm sure if I were involved on the other side of a court proceeding, then hopefully there would be resources for me to do it virtually. I think, a jury is different. Of course, if they want to make a way for me to do it virtually, I would happily serve. This isn't about getting out of jury duty. I think it's important to do your duty. Yeah, so that's where we're at now. I suppose I can update you when I get a response. But yeah, if you are in a similar boat and you get called up for jury duty, I would suggest like that you immediately contact the court and get from them exactly what they need from you, so that you can then go and find someone to give exactly what you exactly what you need. And you know, if you don't have a personal physician that you see regularly, because going to the doctor is very difficult for you, then I would look in to check in with your insurance or whatever hospital you are near, and see if like the hospital or the whatever your medical group is, like if the clinic, yeah, check to see if a person that you would see in person also does virtual visits. Because it's like a glorified nurse's line. I've never really encountered one who's truly able to do what they thought needed to be done. They're hampered. They're hampered. It's limited. So if you can find someone who you would be able to see in person, were you able to go in person, who can do virtual visits, I think that's your best bet to get what you need. Because what the like virtual person was able to do was they were able to write me like a note that you would get if you're like, oh, I need a note for work or a note for school to say that I was sick. And that's not what I need. I don't need a note excusing me for a day or a week. I need a note explaining why it's never going to work. So yeah. Yeah, I guess I'll check in either when I have been excused from a jury duty or once I'm done serving jury duty. Okay, excuse the fact that I'm in a messy room and I have like second day workout hair, and I'm wearing an old hoodie that I got from a gas station. I just wanted to let you know that I just found out that I've been excused from jury duty. So I'm really happy about that, because I don't know, I don't know what it would have looked like at the other end of potentially 2 weeks of doing jury duty. I imagine like all of the products that I currently use, I would not be able to use anymore, because my body it would make me worse than I am today. Like that's the problem. Like I am as healthy as I am because I don't leave my house. And if I left my house, then my body would punish me. Like I would just continue to become more and more sensitive to things. Sorry, I'm gonna be done now, because I know that this is gonna be super shaky, and I hate when videos are shaky. Ugh. So the good news is no jury duty for me. Yes. Obviously, like jury duty is a civic duty. If you can serve, you should serve, and take it seriously, because really important things are on the line. But yeah, since I physically cannot, I'm so happy that I'm not gonna have to try. In the end, it worked out for me that I was excused for jury duty. It was the option I needed, but it doesn't solve the bigger issue. Public spaces should be accessible to everyone, but people like me can't access them. The issue is largely man-made. If service buildings like government buildings and hospitals made it their policy to only use unscented cleaning products, and to require that their staff use only unscented hygiene and laundry products, it would make a huge impact. If we had a cultural shift where people across the board switched to unscented products, it would mean that accommodating for issues like MCS would be simple and reasonable. Recently, I was telling my child about the restaurants that I went to in my youth, and I explained that each restaurant had a smoking section. Where do you think the smoking section was? I asked. Outside, they answered very confidently. Oh no, it was inside. Do you think it was in a separate room with walls and a door? Well, yes, of course, it would have to be a self-enclosed area. It just makes sense. But no, the restaurants of my youth were very open. The smoking section was right next to the non-smoking section, and there was no barrier there. So the whole place smelled like smoke, whether you were sitting in the smoking section or not. Everything smelled like smoke, and smokers and non-smokers alike died because of it. It wasn't easy, but we changed the norm. If everyone asks for unscented products, they will make more and better unscented products. If your favorite product doesn't have an unscented version, ask them for one. Everyone should be able to access hospitals, government buildings, public areas, public transportation. Right now, it feels unlikely that this shift will happen in my lifetime. I remember sitting in the non-smoking section and smelling smoke and knowing that it was wrong and it needed to change, but not thinking that it was ever going to change. But it did. Change is possible if enough people see the problem. You can help spread awareness by sharing this video and being mindful of the products that you use. Ask for unscented versions and use them. There may be no chance that you will be around me and affect me. There is a very good chance that you will be around someone like me. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment so that the almighty algorithm will deem this little rant worthy. Thank you so much. See you next time.